Hi, I'm Tim Tuller, canon for music at St. John's Cathedral, with a couple words about the music for this Sunday, June 29th. Our prelude is the Prelude and Fugue in F minor from the Well-Tempered Clavier, Book 1. Bach wrote 2 volumes of preludes and fugues entitled The Well-Tempered Clavier. Volume 1 contains 24 preludes and fugues, one in each of the 12 major and minor keys, as does Volume 2. And this collection, which contains some of Bach's most wonderful and abstract music, came about at a time when the tuning system for keyboards was being experimented with. In earlier times, keyboards were tuned in such a way that you couldn't really play in all 12 keys without some of the keys being very out of tune. So if you look at early keyboard music, you'll rarely find pieces that go beyond maybe 3 sharps or flats, because the early tuning systems couldn't accommodate the keys with more sharps or flats. They'd be very out of tune. However, in Bach's day, that was starting to change, and he wrote these volumes to show the potential of writing in all of the keys, all the major and minor keys. And these pieces were originally written for harpsichord or clavichord, no doubt, but some of them were actually worked very well on the organ and indeed the modern piano as well. They're really timeless music. Our offertory anthem is entitled Lord Who Has Formed Me. It's a wonderful and poignant setting of a poem by George Herbert, written by the contemporary American composer Arlen Clark, who is at the Catholic Church of St. Mary's in Greenville, South Carolina. It's a huge church with an 8,500 member congregation, and Clark has wrote a series of choral pieces on the poems of George Herbert, and this is one of my very favorites. It's a wonderfully melodic and poignant setting, very effective. Our postlude is a sonata in D major by Domenico Scarlatti. Scarlatti came from a very musical family. Alessandro Scarlatti was one of his relatives, and who was a very famous composer. And Domenico spent a lot of his life working at the Spanish court, and so his music has a great Spanish influence. He really brought harpsichord technique to one of its greatest heights. His music is extremely virtuosic. It's most of the time played on a modern piano nowadays. But kind of like Bach, it can suit organ, piano, or harpsichord. The music is greater than the medium in a lot of ways. And an interesting fact about Scarlatti is that early on in his career, he was very famous for writing a lot of keyboard pieces where one had to cross the hands over while playing. It was one of his sort of flashy techniques that he would use. And in his later compositions, and he was incredibly prolific, he wrote over 500 keyboard sonatas. In his later compositions, you'll see that the hand crossing technique kind of goes away. He gets rid of it. And as I understand it, it's because he got so fat late in life that he could no longer cross his hands over when playing on a keyboard. So he got rid of that device in his later works. And I hope you enjoy the music this Sunday.